Hey guys, it's me Feliciel, and today we're back for a new type of video, which is a tutorial. I realized that what I usually draw is basically pretty girls and usually just their face. And so since I'm fairly confident with drawing these things, I realized, why haven't I done a tutorial yet? So in this video, and you already probably saw it in the title, I'll be teaching you how to draw portraits. I mean, at least that's how I draw them. You can do it in different ways. You do you. I am far from being the almighty who knows everything, and maybe I do things that are wrong. I don't really know. So don't take everything as a guidebook, but take them as some help and kind of a reference, if you know what I'm saying. So without further ado, let's hop right into the video, and I'll see you at the end of the video. Okay, so it's now time for the voiceover, and before giving you a full-on demo, I did a simple sketch to explain the principles of how I draw portraits. So let's start. I first do this circle, which is the skull of the face, and then add some guidelines. So a first vertical one, which shows the orientation of the face, and then 3 lines that are horizontal, one for the eyebrows and eyes, one for the nose, and one for the bottom of the mouth. Then I link everything with the jaw, and I like adding those little circles that go more or less from the nose to the middle of the forehead, which shows that the skull is flat over there, and then I add the hairline. The hairline is kind of a weird shape. I just go with the flow. I don't really have any tips on finding the hairline, except that you really should be careful and not make a forehead that's too small. And then I have fun adding the nose. To do it, I use a 4-sided shape that is very practical for drawing the nose in any angle, and it helps a lot with drawing the nostrils correctly, I find. But that's just a personal preference of how I draw noses. And then I just very quickly draw the lips. I just do the bottom lip and very vaguely the cupid's bow and the top lip. And then I move on to the eyebrows. So I put our guideline really at the bottom of the eyebrows, and I really like drawing the eyebrows hair by hair. It helps a lot. And then I move on to the eyes. So I really do them one by one. I start with the general shape of the eye, I add the iris and the pupil, and I then do some eye bags because I love drawing eye bags, and then I just add a couple of details with some lashes, etc. And then I do the same thing on the other side. Don't get me wrong, it's complicated to get both of the eyes looking similar, but it's just a matter of trial and error and getting used to it. And worst case, you can just erase it and restart. So then I add some details, such as the cheekbones, this weird mark that I always draw on my portraits on their foreheads. I don't know why, but it looks cool. And then I add the ears, which go from the eyebrows to the bottom of the nose. And then I add the neck. I usually end with the lips because I find them a bit more complicated to do. And it's also around this step where I realize where things go wrong, so it's when I can, for example, erase and move things around, because that's also something you can do. And then that's when I add some hair, because I wanted to show very quickly how I also draw some hairs when I'm trying to quickly sketch things. So I start off with some bangs, because it's an easy hairstyle to do. I also try to go for a little bit of a curly hairstyle. I add the hairline and add those 2 little strands at the beginning. I always draw these because I find them cute and quirky. And I also add these 2 little strands in front of the ear that help frame the face. And then I just go for a general vague shape. It's not my best hairstyle work, but it does the job for this video. Now moving on to the actual demo, where I do a portrait really like I would do it normally. So I really enjoy working with a reference, even though I'm going to not follow it exactly, but it just helps me have a general idea of what I want as a face structure. I'm working with a very light pencil. It's a 4H pencil because it's just what I'm used to. But basically, I'm doing these same steps as before. I do the circle with my guidelines and adding the jaw and then the neck, and just in general trying to place the different elements of the face that I'll be adding. You will see me go time and time again with my eraser and reshaping things because I'm not happy with how they are. But that's really something you shouldn't be afraid of doing. You can also take the freedom to stylize a bit more things than what I did, because this is a fairly semi-realistic style that I'm showing you guys. Because even if you have your own style, I do think it is very important to know the fundamentals and how to represent things the way that they actually are. And I'm not saying that like I'm perfect and I'm drawing something super realistic. I did take a couple of freedoms with, for example, the eyes and the way I styled hair, but you do you. You can have fun stylizing a lot things, or you can try and stick to a more semi-realistic approach like I did. By this point, I realized that the nose was throwing off the entire face because it was way too short. So I had to erase it all, start again, erase again, and start over for the second or even third time. But once it was done, I could finally move on to darkening my lines and making the sketch look more alive. And this is probably my favorite part when I do sketches in my sketchbook, because it really makes the drawing pop out of the page and it looks so much more interesting, and you can add so many little details and darken some places to add a little bit of values as well. I don't do this step before I'm really sure that I have all the elements at the correct place and the correct size, because at this point, erasing will leave a big mark on my paper, and that's not what I'm going for. So it is the most easy step, since it is just about darkening my lines and having fun with the drawing by accentuating certain features. I did take the decision to speed up this part even faster because honestly, I don't really have much to say about this process anymore. It's very straightforward, and normally by this point, it's about personal preference. I decided to continue the sketch, but I also could have decided to make it a watercolor, use my markers, etc. So if you're doing your portrait, you can use whatever technique and not necessarily just darken your sketch like I did. Alright, and that basically sums up the entire video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more tutorial type of videos, do let me know. I'll be glad to do that. Comment down below your thoughts on my tips and my tutorial. If you have any tips, be my guest and share them in the comments down as well. You can like this video if you liked it. You can also subscribe to my channel because I make art content. And you can also check out my Instagram because that's where I post all the drawings I do, which includes a lot of portraits of pretty girls. That's about all that I have to say. I hope you learned stuff, or at least that I entertained you. And yeah, see you next time. Tschüss!